What if the reason your life feels stuck has nothing to do with your goals, your talent, or your effort, but everything to do with how you spend the first 10 minutes after waking up? This might be the most overlooked secret to transformation you've never heard. There's a reason why some people seem to awaken each day with unstoppable clarity, calm power, and a sense of quiet confidence, while others, no matter how hard they try, feel stuck in a cycle of exhaustion, chaos, and vague frustration. And it might have nothing to do with how smart they are, how hard they work, or even how much they want to change. It may all come down to the very first moment, when you open your eyes in the morning. What if everything you've ever struggled with, your lack of motivation, your constant procrastination, your emotional instability, your feeling of drifting, could be traced back to the first 5 minutes of your day? What if the true reason you're stuck is not because you haven't worked hard enough, but because you've been starting wrong? Welcome to Success Lesson, where we don't chase hype or hollow inspiration. We explore what actually works beneath the surface. And today we begin with one question that might shake your worldview. How do you start your day? Before we dive in, take a moment. If you find this message already making you pause, already challenging something in you, please hit that subscribe button. It's the simplest way to support this channel so we can keep creating meaningful, high-impact content like this. Now, let's go deeper. Most people treat their mornings like leftovers, what remains after a restless night or a snoozed alarm. They wake up just in time to survive, check their phones before they even sit up, scroll through social media in the bathroom, shove down a rushed breakfast, and jump into work without a moment of intention. They're not starting the day, they're reacting to it. And in that reaction, something gets silently programmed. What if I told you, the way you spend the first 15 minutes after waking up is not just a routine, it's a ritual of identity? Your nervous system calibrates, your beliefs settle in, your sense of time, control, power, and worth, they all begin to crystallize the moment you open your eyes. And most people don't even notice it's happening. Because here's the brutal truth. You're not tired because you lack energy. You're tired because you start your day without owning it. You're not stuck because life is hard. You're stuck because every morning you hand over your inner world to chaos before you've had a chance to claim it as your own. This isn't about motivation. It's about design. And design begins with the first 5 minutes. Science backs this up. Upon waking, your body is naturally producing cortisol and serotonin, hormones that create alertness, optimism, and motivation. But if the first thing you do is flood your brain with fragmented information, dopamine spikes, digital noise, or external demands, you overwrite that system before it even activates. You lose the most powerful window your mind and body give you, the reset point. That moment of stillness, just before the day begins, is where everything is possible. Where your thoughts are still forming, where your emotional state hasn't been hijacked yet, where you have a rare opportunity to decide not just what you'll do today, but how you'll be. But most people never touch it. They've trained themselves to ignore it. And over time, what started as small morning habits become an invisible prison. Wake up, react, rush, numb out, repeat. No wonder so many people feel like they're running in place. The tragedy is they're not failing at life. They're just recycling the same beginning over and over again. Different goals, same start, same outcome. If you've ever wondered why you can set ambitious plans on Sunday and lose all momentum by Wednesday, look at your mornings. If you've ever felt like your life is passing you by while you barely keep up, look at your mornings. If you've read the books, watched the talks, followed the advice, but still feel something is off, don't blame your willpower. Look at your start line. Because this is not about how early you wake up. It's about what you do with that sacred space between sleep and the world's noise. Maybe you don't need a new job. Maybe you don't need a new schedule. Maybe you don't even need more time. Maybe you just need a new morning. One you own. One where your attention belongs to you, not to 100 notifications. One where you remember who you are before anyone tells you who to be. One where you lead, not with force, but with intention. And that doesn't take hours. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. to become a different person. You don't need a perfect routine. You don't even need to do the same thing every day. All you need is presence. and a choice. A choice to say, I will not begin this day unconsciously. That's where it all begins. Once you understand this, your entire experience of life begins to shift. You stop chasing energy and start generating it. You stop looking for clarity and start creating it. You stop hoping for control and start reclaiming it. And maybe, just maybe, you realize that the version of yourself you've been longing to become isn't waiting for some grand transformation. They're waiting for you at sunrise. That's why from this point forward, you'll learn not just how to build a morning routine, but how to create a morning ritual that rebuilds you. Because when you begin your day with ownership, clarity, and intention, you're not just making today better. You're writing a new script for your entire life. That's the power of morning. That's the power of beginning again, but beginning right. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next part of this journey. Stay close, because the way you start changes everything. There's a powerful illusion that holds many people back from real change. The idea that transformation requires massive, sweeping overhauls of your life, that you must become someone entirely different overnight, that you must rip out every bad habit by the root and replace them all at once with shiny, disciplined new behaviors. But the truth is quieter than that, more sustainable, and far more human. Real change begins with structure. And when it comes to redesigning your life from the inside out, no structure is more potent than your morning. Not your job, not your schedule, not your 5-year plan. Your morning. Because your morning isn't just a time slot, it's the architect of your mindset, energy, and direction. It is the one space in your day where you still hold complete creative control before the world barges in with demands, distractions, and noise. And yet, most people spend it unconsciously, out of sync with who they are and what they actually need. That's why, if you truly want to change your life, you don't need a new year. You need a new way to start the next morning. But how do you build a morning that actually supports you, not one that's borrowed from someone else's Instagram post or some hyper-disciplined billionaire's routine? You begin with structure rooted in purpose. And the key is to understand that your morning doesn't need to be complex. It needs to be intentional. An intentional morning isn't a list of tasks. It's a rhythm, a flow, a framework that gently brings you back into your body, your breath, your values, and your clarity before the rest of the world gets a chance to define your day for you. There are 3 essential pillars of a sustainable, life-giving morning: activation of the body, restoration of the mind, and direction of the day. You don't need to do all 3 perfectly. You don't even need to do all 3 every day. But if your morning hits even one of these touch points with presence and consistency, it can shift your entire trajectory. First, you activate the body. This is not about burning calories or chasing aesthetic goals. It's about waking your physical system from its dormant state and signaling, I'm alive, I'm here, let's move. For some, this may mean a light stretch or a short walk. For others, it may mean yoga, dancing to a favorite song, or simply standing outside barefoot and breathing in fresh air. It's about connection, not performance. Your body doesn't need punishment, it needs acknowledgement. Second, you restore the mind. After hours of unconscious sleep, your mind is open, fertile, and highly impressionable. What you feed it in this window can set the emotional tone for the rest of your day. Instead of bombarding it with chaos, use this sacred time to anchor it. Read something uplifting. Write a few lines in a journal. Sit in silence and breathe. Reconnect to your internal compass before you're pulled into everyone else's agenda. When you honor your mind in the morning, you reclaim your power to shape your day, not react to it. Third, you give your day direction. Most people dive into their to-do lists without ever asking a simple question: what matters today? Not what's urgent, not what's expected, but what actually matters. What's one thing, if you completed it, would make you proud, would move your life a step forward, would align you with who you want to become? Identifying just one meaningful priority and anchoring your day around it is a quiet act of rebellion against the culture of overwhelm. It's you declaring, I refuse to spend another day being busy without being clear. But none of this works without one final, crucial element. Your morning routine must be a fit for your life. Too often, people abandon their routines not because they lack discipline, but because the routine itself was designed for someone else's life. A single parent with toddlers will have very different needs and capacities than a young professional living alone. A college student with shifting class times won't thrive under the same schedule as a corporate executive with morning meetings. And that's okay. The most powerful morning routine is the one that's yours, realistic, adaptable, and kind. Maybe your routine is 10 minutes long. Maybe it starts at 8 a.m. instead of 5 a.m. What matters is not the clock, it's the consciousness with which you begin. You'll also need to resist the urge to be perfect. Many people start with enthusiasm and try to pack every good habit into their morning at once: meditation, journaling, workouts, green smoothies, reading, planning, affirmations, visualization, and within a few days they burn out. They feel guilty. They quit. But the truth is, change doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, with presence, repetition, and meaning. Start with one thing, one gentle ritual that makes you feel grounded and real. It could be drinking water mindfully, lighting a candle, writing one line in a journal. Just start. Consistency matters more than intensity, not because repetition is boring, but because it builds identity. The more you repeat something, the more it becomes not just what you do, but who you are becoming. And when your mornings reflect the person you're choosing to become, your entire day follows suit. Your morning routine should never feel like another performance to achieve. It should feel like a quiet room you return to every day. A room where you're not being watched, judged, or measured. A room where you begin again. Not from pressure, but from love. Because ultimately, the point of a morning structure isn't to make you more productive. It's to make you more present. To anchor you before the waves of life come crashing in. To remind you that before the emails, the responsibilities, the noise, there is still you. And that version of you deserves a peaceful place to rise. So no, you don't need to fix your whole life at once. You just need to give your morning a shape that holds you, that meets you where you are, that pulls you forward gently, one breath at a time. And when you do that, day after day, moment by moment, you'll look up one morning not just feeling better, but becoming someone new. In the quiet stillness of the morning, before the world rushes in, there exists a rare opportunity, one that most people never fully claim. It's not just about what you do with your time. It's about how you nourish your soul. Because no matter how perfectly crafted your schedule may be, or how consistent your habits are, if your inner world remains neglected, you'll always feel a hollow sense of motion without meaning. True transformation doesn't just come from structure, it comes from spirit. And the morning is the one sacred window where your spirit is most accessible. This is where most routines fail. Not in the checklist, but in the connection. We do all the right things, hydrate, move, plan the day, but we forget to ask the deeper questions. How do I feel this morning? What does my heart need before I rush into another round of responsibilities? What have I been carrying from yesterday that needs to be released before today begins? The inner world is subtle. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And if you don't slow down enough to listen, you'll miss the most important part of your day. Not the meetings, not the milestones, but the moment where you reconnect with yourself. This is why soul-centered rituals matter. Not because they make you more productive, but because they make you more whole. The morning is the best time to anchor into your emotional and spiritual core. When you begin your day with internal clarity, you're less likely to be shaken by external noise. When you check in with your soul before checking your email, you begin to live from the inside out, not the other way around. So how do you nourish your inner life in the morning? You do it not with pressure, but with presence. You don't need to become a monk. You just need to become available to yourself. Start with self-expression. There is no tool more quietly transformative than a pen in your hand and a few honest lines spilled onto a page. Morning journaling isn't about writing well. It's about writing real. Just one sentence, "I feel anxious today and I'm not sure why," can release tension from your body. When your thoughts are stuck in your head, they control you. When they're written out, they become something you can observe, witness, understand, and from there, begin to let go. But don't just write about what's heavy. Write about what's light. Gratitude isn't just a mindset. It's a way of seeing. And when you practice it intentionally, especially in the morning, it shifts your entire emotional landscape. You begin to notice what's working, what's enough, what's beautiful, and you stop living in scarcity. Even if nothing external has changed, something internal has. Gratitude doesn't deny pain, it helps you carry it with more grace. Affirmations are another layer of nourishment, not empty slogans, but intentional reminders of who you are and who you're becoming. When you start your day by saying, I am learning to trust myself, or I am capable of facing what today brings, you're training your mind to believe a new story, one that supports you rather than sabotages you. The stories we tell ourselves silently are the most powerful scripts of our lives. You get to choose which one you rehearse every morning. Visualization deepens this. It gives your mind a picture to hold on to, something hopeful, empowering, and concrete. You might visualize yourself moving through your workday with ease, speaking up in that meeting with clarity, coming home with peace in your heart. The mind doesn't always distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So give it something beautiful to believe in. Visualization is not fantasy, it's rehearsal. And when you see yourself thriving, you increase your chances of becoming the version of you who actually does. But perhaps the most profound ritual of all is silence. Just a minute, just 5 deep breaths, just enough space for your nervous system to settle, enough quiet for your awareness to return home. The world is loud, but your soul isn't. And sometimes, the most healing thing you can do in the morning is to sit in stillness and feel yourself exist before the world asks you to perform. This inward turn isn't indulgent, it's foundational. Because when your emotional life is neglected, even the most disciplined outer life begins to crack. You may look like you're functioning, but inside you're unraveling. You may be meeting deadlines, but missing yourself. You may be moving fast, but feeling disconnected. That's why tending to your inner world is not optional, it's essential. The beauty is, you don't need to do everything. Just choose what resonates. Maybe today you journal. Maybe tomorrow you simply sit quietly with your coffee and breathe. What matters is that you pause, that you turn inward before turning outward, that you create a habit of meeting yourself every morning, honestly, gently, consistently. And when you do this long enough, something incredible happens. You stop waiting for peace. You start becoming it. You stop looking for motivation. You start accessing clarity. You stop reacting to the world. You start responding with intention, compassion, and grounded strength. This is the quiet revolution of the morning, the subtle decision to prioritize your spirit, even for a few minutes before the day begins. You may not see instant results. There may be no applause. But over time, your inner world will become your safe place, your anchor, your guide, and the person you become through these invisible practices will no longer need validation to feel strong. They will know deep down that they are rooted, they are ready, and they are home. There's a moment in every transformation journey when the initial excitement fades. The fire you felt on day one, when you decided to wake up early, journal, move your body, or reclaim your mornings, begins to flicker. Life creeps in. One morning you're too tired. The next, you oversleep. Then something throws off your rhythm. Before you know it, you've slipped back into old patterns. It's not that you didn't want the change. It's that you didn't have the system to carry you through the days when your motivation went missing. This is the part most people overlook. They assume willpower is enough. They believe if they care enough, they'll push through. But no matter how strong your desire, it's only human to forget, to fall short, to get pulled by the gravity of habit and circumstance. That's why lasting transformation isn't fueled by passion. It's sustained by structure. Not rigid discipline, but thoughtful support systems that meet you where you are and help you stay close to where you want to go. To sustain a meaningful morning practice, you need more than intention. You need scaffolding. You need a way to stay grounded when life gets messy and energy gets low. You need a relationship with your practice that's rooted in self-compassion, not perfection. This begins with making the process visible. When we don't track what we're doing, progress becomes invisible. And when progress is invisible, we begin to doubt it's even happening. That's why small tools like habit trackers, morning checklists, a wall calendar with daily marks, or even a journal where you jot down how your morning felt can have an outsized impact. You're not doing this for applause. You're doing it for evidence. A quiet signal to your brain. I'm showing up, even if it's small, even if it's messy. I'm still here. These moments of consistency build trust. And trust is the foundation of any relationship, including the one you have with yourself. Every day you keep your word, even a little. You're repairing the parts of you that learned long ago not to believe in your own follow-through. You're proving, in micro ways, that you can be relied on, that you are someone worth building habits for. Another powerful way to sustain your morning rituals is to reduce friction. People often assume the problem is laziness, when, in truth, it's logistics. If your journal is buried in a drawer, if your workout clothes aren't laid out, if you haven't decided what to do during your sacred morning time, you're increasing the chances you'll skip it. Not because you don't care, but because your brain defaults to the path of least resistance. Make that path work for you. Place your water bottle next to your bed. Keep your morning playlist one tap away. Preload your meditation app. These small changes don't seem profound, but over time, they lower the barrier between you and the person you're becoming. But perhaps the most underrated support system of all is grace. You will not be perfect. You will have off days. There will be mornings when the alarm gets ignored, the ritual gets skipped, or you move through your routine distracted and half present. That doesn't mean you failed. That means you're human. The key is not never falling. It's shortening the time it takes to return, to come back without guilt, to forgive the lapse and recommit without overcorrecting. This ability to return gently is a muscle in itself, one you build by practicing non-judgment, by refusing to let one missed morning snowball into a week of avoidance, by saying to yourself, I missed today, but tomorrow I'll begin again, and meaning it. Not because you're chasing perfection, but because you're building resilience. Resilience isn't the absence of struggle. It's the capacity to stay in the arena when the struggle comes. And that's what your morning practice becomes, a quiet declaration that no matter what chaos life throws at you, there's still a place where you begin again, where you show up, where you remember who you are. Another powerful support is creating environmental cues that invite you back into presence. Light a candle that you only light during your morning practice. Sit in the same chair. Use a specific mug. Play the same opening song. Rituals are made powerful by repetition and association. Over time, these sensory cues become a signal to your body and mind. It's time to return to myself. The more you anchor your practice in tangible sensory experiences, the more naturally it becomes a part of you. And then there's community. Most of our behaviors are influenced by the people we surround ourselves with. If you're trying to build a life of depth and presence while constantly engaging with people who glorify chaos, distraction, and burnout, it will feel like swimming upstream. You don't need a large group, one accountability partner, one like-minded friend, or even just one online space where others are walking the same path. Having someone else witness your effort, even silently, creates a subtle sense of accountability and belonging. You are no longer doing this alone. But even with community, the most important person who needs to show up for you is you. That means designing a system that's sustainable, not just during the good weeks, but during the unpredictable seasons of real life. Your routine shouldn't collapse every time your schedule changes or your energy dips. It should flex. It should meet you where you are. If you once had an hour for reflection but now only have 10 minutes, that's okay. Trade the ritual, not the intention. Maybe you used to write a full journal entry, and now you write one line. Maybe you used to meditate, and now you simply sit quietly with your breath for a minute. The form can shift. The why remains. This adaptability is not weakness. It's what makes the routine alive. And anything that's alive must breathe, bend, and evolve. Ultimately, the purpose of all these systems, tracking, cues, community, grace, is to help you stay close to yourself. Because the person you're becoming is not built in grand declarations, but in subtle daily choices. And the more support you build around those choices, the more likely they are to stick. So don't just build a morning habit, build a morning ecosystem, one that doesn't depend on willpower, one that holds you when you're tired, distracted, or doubting, one that reminds you gently but firmly that you are worthy of showing up for. And when you have that, you don't just build better mornings, You build a life you can return to. Again and again, no matter what. There's a quiet truth that most people overlook when they set out to change their lives. Nothing sustains forever on inspiration alone. The spark that ignites your desire for a better morning, for a more intentional, grounded life, can never be the same fuel that keeps the fire burning day after day. Enthusiasm fades, novelty wears off, even clarity becomes clouded by routine. And in that space, after the high, before the habit fully roots, many people give up, not because they're weak, but because they didn't build a deeper bond with what they were doing. They never transformed their routine into a part of who they are. This is where identity steps in. The secret to sustaining any powerful habit isn't to keep pushing harder. It's to become the kind of person who does it without force. It's not about saying, I'm trying to wake up early. It's about saying, I am someone who values stillness in the morning. It's not about, I'm trying to journal. It's, I'm someone who connects with myself before connecting with the world. Language matters. It's the way you shape your self-perception. And your self-perception shapes your choices, especially when no one is watching. When your morning rituals become extensions of your identity, they stop being fragile. They're no longer something you negotiate with every day. They're simply what you do, even when it's imperfect, even when it's brief, even when you don't feel like it. Because identity runs deeper than emotion. When you tie your morning practice to your sense of self, it becomes resilient. Not because it's rigid, but because it's rooted. And once your rituals are rooted, the next step is to give them rhythm. Not a rigid schedule, but a dependable beat, something your nervous system can return to, even in chaos. Humans crave rhythm. It creates safety, predictability, a kind of quiet confidence. You don't need to plan your mornings down to the minute. You just need to give your body and mind the gift of knowing what to expect. Whether you begin your day at 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. doesn't matter as much as how consistently you honor the space you've chosen for yourself. Over time, that consistency becomes sanctuary. But let's be honest, life will still disrupt your rhythm. There will be mornings where everything goes sideways. You'll be sick, your kids will need you, deadlines will loom, chaos will visit, uninvited. And here's what most people forget. Consistency doesn't mean never missing a beat. It means learning how to come back after the beat is lost. This is the deeper definition of discipline. Not harshness, but devotion. Not perfection, but return. You build resilience by building forgiveness into your practice. By releasing the story that one missed morning means you're off track. You're never off track. You're living. And living is unpredictable. What matters is that you carry the thread forward. You return. Not out of guilt, but out of alignment. Because you know who you are, and you know where home is. Tracking your progress can help, not because you need to measure everything, but because humans thrive on small signals of movement. We like seeing a streak. We like circling a day on the calendar. We like writing, showed up today, in a notebook. These little acknowledgments aren't just proof that you're doing the thing. They're reminders that you're becoming someone reliable, someone devoted, someone awake. But even as you build systems and rhythms, there's something else you must protect if you want this to last: your emotional connection to the ritual itself. No one sticks with something they resent. If your morning routine becomes just another box to check, it will become heavy. And heaviness is hard to carry long term. So learn to love the feeling of coming back to yourself. Savor it. Make it beautiful. Light a candle. Open a window. Play a piece of music you love. Your ritual should not just be functional, it should be felt. When something nourishes you, you return to it naturally. You can also renew your connection by reminding yourself regularly why you started. Write it down. Speak it aloud. I begin my mornings this way because I want to live with clarity, not chaos. Because I want to remember who I am before the world tells me who to be. That kind of intention isn't fluff, it's fuel, especially on the days when you forget. And finally, perhaps the most profound part of making your morning last beyond the first few weeks is recognizing that it will and should evolve. What serves you now might not serve you in 6 months. You might trade journaling for walking, reading for prayer, meditation for music. That's not failure, that's growth. Your life isn't static. Your rituals shouldn't be either. The point is not to lock yourself into a formula. The point is to stay close to your center, no matter the form it takes. The deeper truth is this: a meaningful morning isn't about doing a set of actions. It's about remembering what matters. It's about refusing to let the noise of the world drown out your own voice before the day even begins. It's about reclaiming your agency in the first moments after waking, so the rest of the day is lived, not just survived. And when your mornings become this, an expression of who you are, a rhythm you can return to, a source of peace rather than pressure, then your practice is no longer something you try to do. It's simply part of you. And in that quiet, consistent act of self-honoring, you begin to build not just better days, but a life that feels deeply intentionally your own, one that holds you, one that reflects you, one that grows with you, one that you're proud to wake up to. Reflection and takeaway. In the end, what transforms your life is never the grand declarations or dramatic changes. It's not about waking up one day and becoming an entirely different person. It's about the small, consistent choices that you return to, especially when no one is watching. Your morning is not just the beginning of your day. It's the beginning of your mindset, your energy, your beliefs, and your ability to lead yourself. When you design your morning with intention, even the most ordinary days begin to feel purposeful. You no longer rush into life blindly. You step into it consciously. Your morning practice doesn't need to be long or perfect. What matters is that it's yours, that you show up with presence, that you begin each day with the decision to remember who you are before the noise begins. In that first quiet moment when the world hasn't touched you yet, you have power. Power to choose clarity over chaos, grounding over reaction, and self-respect over self-neglect. Over time, these choices accumulate. They build a rhythm, a flow, a foundation. And before you even realize it, you're no longer forcing a habit. You're living a new identity. You don't have to chase motivation anymore because your life is aligned with what actually matters to you. You're not just getting through the day, you're owning it, and that changes everything. The deeper lesson is this: transformation isn't about what you do once. It's about what you return to over and over again, what you make sacred, what you protect even in chaos. Your morning is that sacred space, and how you treat it reveals how willing you are to protect your peace, your growth, and your truth. Apply it today by choosing just one small action to honor your morning. Write one line in a journal. Sit quietly for 2 minutes. Drink water slowly and mindfully. Do it with presence. Do it consistently. And watch what happens, not overnight, but in time. Your life will begin to shift at the root, not just at the surface. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to join our Success Lesson community, a space for intentional people who are done surviving their days and ready to start designing them. Together, we grow deeper, not just faster. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel to support this journey. Every subscription helps us keep creating content that nourishes, uplifts, and empowers. This is just the beginning. Let's keep building together.